Welcome to 28.5 Women's Basketball, where we explore a unique and authentic perspective on the women's game, break down upcoming matchups, and discuss the latest news and trends in women's basketball. We are your hosts. I'm Sydney Story, and I played basketball at the University of Tennessee under Pat Summitt.
And I'm Becca Goodman, and I played at the University of Notre Dame under Muffet McGraw. And we're thrilled to have you join us today. Before we jump in, make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you enjoy what you hear, be sure to tune in each week and don't forget to follow, download, and listen to give an assist and share the love. Now let's get started with today's episode. Hey, Sid, happy post-Thanksgiving. How'd it go?
Hey, Beck, it went well. I feel like I gained 5 pounds, but that's how it goes, right? I'm a true American heading out of this past week.
That's the expectation. Definitely. It's our family. We have like a late lunch and then we hang out like all evening. So it's like, then we have a dinner and then it's just kind of like you roam and you pick and yeah. So what was your favorite part of your meal?
Oh man, probably some sweet potato casserole that my cousin Mari made. It was so good. Like, I feel like that's a good go-to every year, but the topping was like made perfectly. It was like extra thick. It was just so good. And it's so sweet. Like it's a dessert in and of itself that you like put next to your turkey and everything else. But it was so good. I went back and got a giant second helping of it. And I told her, I'm like, this is the best sweet potato casserole I've ever had. So that's going to be my number one win there. What about you?
You know, I can't pick, but I'm not a big like ham turkey person. I'm just not. It's got to be really good in order for me to even be like, oh, this was good. Other than that, I just like take a piece because I feel obligated to. And I'm like, yeah, it's whatever. But my mom got this turkey that was like legit. And we're not like the pull out the insides. We're not doing that. But it was just like an all-in-one like turkey that you can bake. And it's like no waste whatsoever. And it was so good. Like for me to compliment this turkey, people were like, oh, that was good. Because other people were too. But my mom was like, oh my gosh, she's actually eating the turkey. I was like, yeah, man, this is really good, Mom. Like, I don't know what it is, but this one's just hitting today. So yeah, in typical Thanksgiving, the turkey was delicious.
There you go. It wasn't dry. That's my thing with turkey is like when it's too dry, it's not good. Yeah.
It's hit or miss for me. So, oh, well, great. I hope everyone else had a happy Thanksgiving. We're here for episode 5, ready to rock and roll. We got a lot of great stuff to touch on.
So much good basketball the past week. Like it's a great week to eat a lot of food and sit there and watch sports. So God knows I did that this past week.
Sid, it's crazy because like we used to play and like be at tournaments, like Virgin Island tournaments, playing and eating Thanksgiving. And now we're just eating Thanksgiving and watching it.
There's probably something wrong there.
I feel like we should get the gang back together for like a scrimmage or just like a shoot around of like you, me, Dreer, Leck, right? Get Anna, get everybody to just, get in the gym and get some shots up on the shooting gun, like just to make us feel like we did something.
Yeah, burn some calories. Oh man, who you telling? All right, let's jump in. Today we're going to do 2 halves. So usually we hit the 4 quarters. We've got 2 halves. The first half is so much to cover, but it really revolves around one thing and one topic. So we've got the 2 halves. The first half is going to be about that Players Era Championship tournament that happened this past week. And then the second half is going to be highlighting some of the upcoming matchups that we've got coming this week. So a lot to cover, as Becca said, and let's jump in. So that first half, we want to start with what this Players Era Championship tournament is. It is kind of amazing what's happening here. And certainly on the men's side, there's more money on the men's side. Like they're getting paid out. There's more teams. But on the women's side, the women are included. And I love it. There's 4 teams that are selected each year for the women's side. And each team gets $1 million to give to NIL payout. Like, let's pause there for a second. Being ex-Division I basketball players, when we played back in our day, can you imagine showing up? Let's say there's 12 people on your team. You're getting paid $1 million as a team. So I don't know how they're going to pay it out if it's even or not, but like players are going to walk away with, call it $85,000, depending on how many are on your team, right? Maybe a little less, maybe it's 60 to 90, whatever it is. But like, I think about this and I'm like, man, we used to go on some of these tournaments and Pat Summitt would be shopping at Nordstrom and we'd be like, okay, see you, Pat, we'll be at the Forever 21 because we have no money. And
no
these
joke.
players,
Sid,
are going to get
if we
paid money.
even
They can go
just
shopping with their coaches. I'm like, seriously.
even if we just would have got like gear for the tournament, I think we would have been thrilled. Like the free gear that everyone gets, we would have been like, oh my gosh, how cool is this hoodie? Right? Like that was the extent of the excitement we had come
Yeah.
tournaments.
Yeah. They're playing 2 games and checking their bank account and being like, I got an extra 70K for doing what I had to do anyways. Like, it's so
Crazy.
awesome. I'm pumped about it. I think it's great. I
Mhm.
think it speaks volumes to how far the game has come. And it speaks volumes, I think, to Dawn Staley. I think she's advocated for this. Her team was in it this year. They're already the team that's signed up for it next year. They've announced that South Carolina is in it next year. You can tell she is like the front runner. My team needs to be in this. What a recruiting tool. What a recruiting tool. If you can be like, hey, back-to-back years, we've played in this tournament. And oh, by the way, it's direct NIL money for playing 2 games that you already got to play. Like, I think that's huge. And I love it. Like, players are finally getting paid. And I mentioned it, right? So the men are getting paid also. It's unclear what additional payouts are on the women's side. It sounds like there's some, but they haven't disclosed it on the women's side yet. On the men's side, the winning team gets an extra $1 million. The runner-up gets an extra $500K that goes to NIL. It's just insane, right?
Every number you're saying, I'm just like, man, I'd take 5,000. Like,
I know.
You think about it.
Right.
Crazy.
Yeah. So, and granted, on the men's side, there's 18 teams in it this year. They're expanding it next year, but there's 18 teams, and you got to win more games to make it to that Final Four and that championship level. The women, they're already slotting them into the top 4. So, but amazing, right? You win this thing, and you're getting an extra $1 million for your team. It's so awesome. And on the men's side, they're taking win margin also. So, like, every bucket matters in this whole thing. On how much more you're going to get paid out. Again, on the women's side, it's not disclosed on how much they're getting, but still kind of cool. So, and I mentioned at South Carolina, they're already signed up for next year. I think it's going to be fascinating to see who gets to play in this tournament each year.
Mm-hmm.
Really.
Yeah, I mean, when you said that this is kind of can be used as a recruiting tool, do you remember we were in AAU? And I know my parents, when you were talking to other parents of kids that were also getting recruited, some parents had some very specific views, which rightfully so. It was like, well, they play in this tournament, so or this conference, and then they play in this region, so maybe they may have a better stake at getting to the NCAA tournament and going far. So like that was the mindset at the time of players. It was like, how can I get to the NCAA tournament and make a run? Now, not only is it that, maybe, I don't know, it could just be, what's my NIL deal? Where can I go and play? And now, I don't know, the fact South Carolina is like an anchor tenant to this conference is pretty legit and wild, knowing that they are the standard for it. I 1,000% agree with you that Dawn Staley kind of petitioned this and ran with it and was very vocal. And I think for the men's side to have so many teams, you know, a lot of times the men lead the way and then they do it, the women's league as well. So it's kind of interesting that maybe next year it will grow. Maybe they'll get more sponsorship. So maybe there'll be availability of more teams. But I think this is just absolutely amazing and insane. And I'd love to wouldn't you just love to know more details? We'll have to get some intel. When do they get paid? Like, is it quick? Like, is it right after the tournament? It's in the bank account. Like, it's pretty crazy. And obviously, if each team gets $1 million just for going, I want to know, do you get it before? Because imagine South Carolina, like if they get a payout if they win, or if they get some sort of like, because we don't know for sure, but if the winner gets more, is it like you get your like entry for playing amount and then you get it after, or is it all after and it's just a scale of like the base or the max, right? Like, yeah. I just think that would be absolutely crazy to even see distributed into my bank account for playing in a tournament. That's crazy.
It is crazy. And I think about this, like I'm watching the games, and again, it's not disclosed how much or if the women get these escalators at all. But let's say there is something for winning both games on the women's side. And how does that change your mindset a little bit about the game? Like for the men, right? They're playing the championship of the Players Era Championship. And it's like, we could get an extra $1 million as a team if we win this, or I say only, but only an extra $500K if we lose this thing. Like, I feel like every possession you are going all out because you're going to double your money if you win that thing on the men's side in that game. It just changes a little bit. We've never had that, right? Like, it's not as players, it wasn't as much of a business because win or lose, like we still had our scholarship. Obviously, you want to be successful as a team and that matters. But like now there's money on the line. And if you win, how does that change your mindset in the game?
The only thing I can slightly compare it to is overseas. In your contract, you have like for certain, you can have it for certain statistics or certain wins or making conference or winning. You could add like bonuses, and that drove a lot, right? It drove my effort rebounding. It drove, if I can get a double and make some extra cash, that's ideally what I would want to do. So I just think it's crazy to be a high schooler. Like imagine being a freshman. My niece is a junior right now, and she's going to be playing college volleyball, and I'm just like looking at her and I'm like, oh my gosh, NIL is like a thing. If you want to make money in college, it's now. Like you have the ability. I'm jealous, I'm envious, and I'm excited for her and all these girls. I just think this is amazing for the game without a doubt. I mean, and it's probably only going to continue to grow. Other tournaments, like I know we go to the Virgin Islands, Cancun, right? The Bahamas, they have that flair, which was more like destination based. But now imagine keeping players in the States, keeping them local to where fans can travel, getting revenue generated there, but also paying them.
Yeah, crazy.
I mean, I would love a tournament in California or Florida, but and make some money and get the sun. Whew.
Oh, yeah. And that's the word on the men's side of this, right? Because it's expanding. I think it was either 32 or 36 teams it's expanding to on the men's side next year. So they're saying it's crushing some of the Maui Invitationals, the Bahama Games, because they're pulling in, let's say it is 36 teams or even 32. They're going to pull in the top teams that are going to want to go play in this, right? And so what happens to those other tournaments where you used to see the Dukes and the Michigan States and the Kansases, and now they're all going to want to play over here, right?
Well, and then it's always hard to follow teams, women or men, when they're in those tournaments because like they're not always broadcast. So being able to find them, trying to make sure, you want to check in, and then it's like, oh, I got to pay for this subscription for this one day. So to keep them stateside, to also get them on ESPN and to get something to watch, not only are you thinking Thanksgiving football, NFL, you're now thinking these big time tournaments for college basketball. I think it's pretty nuts. I mean, it's obviously a double-edged sword for the, it's nice for the areas, the Maui Invitationals, Puerto Rico, to get that business and generate that revenue as well. I'm not knocking that. I think that's super important as well. And it was definitely a different flair, which is why when we went there, that experience was so fun. It was so cool. Some parents and families went with you. That it was special in its own right. But now we're talking money.
Oh yeah. A lot of money.
Yeah.
Shoot.
I know.
Dang.
I don't know. It's going to be hard.
Yeah, that's right. We'll see how it pans out year over year. And I hope eventually they expand the women's field too.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting.
I agree. All right, let's jump into part 2 of the Players Area Championship, because obviously we talked about the behind the scenes, the logistics and how awesome that piece is. But let's talk about the actual tournament, the meat of it, the games. Wednesday was a pretty wild day. Number 4 Texas defeated number 3 UCLA 76-65. I just want to highlight the fact that we had 3 top 5 ranked women's teams at this Players Era Championship. I think we are getting tournament Final Four NCAA tourney games in November, the first month of season. I think this is absolutely wild. You've mentioned many times these coaches are gritty. They want to go out there. They want to get the best type of competition. And this is it, period. So Texas defeating UCLA, knocking off UCLA. That's giving UCLA their first loss of the season. This is going to be a recurring theme for Texas. So stay with me, folks. But UCLA struggled offensively. It was different. What did you notice just watching the flow of the game, and what was Texas able to do to kind of lock up UCLA?
Well, I think number one, they took Lauren Betts out of her game, right? She's frustrated. She has 8 points. And when you take her out, I mean, she's one of the best players in the country, and she's what is she, 6'7"? She's huge, right? So when you can hold a 6'7" woman to 8 points, wow. Like on an off day, Lauren Betts should have 16 to me.
Yeah,
right. So
I agree.
I thought that was huge. And I really think Vic Schaefer is very good at strategizing. I think he's a great coach. There's a reason why he's been in national championships, made Final Fours. And I think his team plays for him. We've mentioned that, right? His team shows up. I thought Rory Harmon was just unbelievable. She had 26 points. She really is showing how good she is. She's so explosive. And you notice it in the South Carolina game after this one also. They run a lot of screening action for her, which I love. So they bring that opposite post player up. Sometimes it's Oldacre, whoever's down there. Sometimes it's Carlton even. They bring her from the opposite block across the court to a deep wing and set that screen, like that duck screen action that we talk about a lot.
Yeah.
They set that ball screen, and it gives a ton of space for Rory Harmon to just go to work. Right? It opens up the whole field, and she's great at, I mentioned it, first step, but she's also great at like reading the floor, and she can attack. And I think she's really, really good. Like, she's going to go down to me as one of the best Texas players. And obviously Madison Booker is too. Like, she was the SEC player of the year last year. She puts up a lot of points. Like, Madison Booker arguably is one of the better guards in the country, but so is Rory Harmon. Like, both of them together is so hard to stop. I thought Kiki Rice had a good game. She had 17 points. She goes 4 for 12. Again, UCLA they were forcing a lot of shots. I didn't think they got a lot really going on the offensive end. They only scored 65 points for them. That's not a lot, right? Texas straight up showed, I think, these past 2 games in Vegas, how good they are defensively also. Right. And I love this game so early in the season. It was like Final Four matchups. It was like so much fun to watch this. And you had mentioned it before we even went live today. It's like, how are we watching this already in November? Like, it felt like the Final Four. Yeah, it really did. And the level of play was just fantastic. And I think UCLA will bounce back. I think they're a really good team. Didn't play a lot of players, right, in their loss against Texas. They were 6 deep. And that's going to hurt them, especially with a long season ahead of them. I think overall, I think Texas showed up to play in this thing.
Yeah, let's stick to Wednesday, and let's also just jump to that second game where it's number 2 South Carolina whopping Duke 83-66. This game was, I'm just going to tell you, I think honestly, Duke has fallen the hardest and farthest of any top 10 ranked team. Let's keep in mind, they started preseason ranked 7. Again, a lot of things happen. Players change. It's all preseason, so you don't really get to see what the team's working with and how they're gelling. But Duke being 3-4 right now and losing to South Carolina by almost 20 points, I just think it sets the tone that, yes, Duke is a defensive team, but this is the second year we've consistently talked about just Duke's struggle to score offensively. And you have to understand, as a player on that team, I can only imagine the struggle and the every night, the pressure to kind of put up points, and maybe you're not comfortable, or maybe you're going out of your role, right? Fournier had 16 points. She was 50% from the field. Jackson and Mara had 11 each, but other people had 0, 6. They only put 3 deep on the bench. Nelson came off the bench, had 14 points for them, but it's a struggle. And I know South Carolina's awesome. They're good. They're a different caliber team, right? They're a top 3 team. They are. I'm just not into Duke anymore. I feel very bad because Duke kind of getting back on the map in a women's basketball program was huge for a while. I just think Kara Lawson needs to like get some offensive threats immediately. That's all I can say. You can teach defense. You can't teach the heart of it and the consistency. That's more of like the structure and the repetitive nature and the expectations. But like offensive mindset, people who can just knock down shots, that's got to be a must.
Yeah, absolutely. I think those are great points. And I was reading this article the other day, and the writer of the article had Duke as a bubble team.
What?
Like maybe not even making the NCAA tournament. And I'm like, hey, I do think we need to realize who they've been playing.
Yeah, I agree.
Right?
Yeah, I agree.
Kara Lawson has started this season. They've been playing some of the best teams in the country. So like, we have to take it with a grain of salt, but they're not hanging with these teams. Like, from a confidence level, it's probably really hurting some of their players' confidence when they're getting blown out like they have in a couple games here. So it's early. Duke needs to hit the ACC hard, and they need to be in the top tier of that ACC, and they'll be fine. They'll make the tournament. But when I read that, I was like, geez, maybe a little harsh, but they're not playing well.
No, they're. And, you talk about that ACC tournament and just overall play. I think a Notre Dame Duke game is going to be very telling for both programs. I think That's exciting. It's going to be very exciting to see and watch. Obviously, Notre Dame's trying to also find that consistent pattern, that bounce back. They've had a one hard loss as well, but I think that game's going to be, as what it is, very telling. What do you think?
That game might be like 49-52 final.
I just hope Hannah doesn't have 50. Like that, we're going to need someone else.
Yeah, she's going to have 49 of the 52 for Notre Dame.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. It's not enough, right, for Duke to hang their hat on being a good defensive team. It helps you, obviously. But to your point, like offensively, it just seems like they're slow getting into their sets. It doesn't really flow. They then have to revert to a lot of one-on-one ball. Usually Toby Fournier then ends up doing it. Or I'm with you. There's something missing there. It's almost like they need a full reset on their offense.
Yeah. Let's jump to Thursday, because what I loved about this tournament is it was very much like old school AAU days, back-to-back games. There was no day off, day on. It wasn't NCAA tournament where you play, you have a day, then you play, you have a day. This was back-to-back. And I think that was so telling of these teams, especially if you're not going deep in your bench, if you don't have numbers to kind of come in off the bench, and again, if you're overall healthy. So let's jump to Thursday, Turkey Day. Let's start with the first game. This was the consolation game for the losers of the two first days, because then we'll get into the highlight back to Texas. So Thursday, number 3 UCLA, they bounce back very swimmingly. They defeat Duke by 30 points, 89-59. So again, I'm not going to beat a dead horse. I'm going to pass it to you if you have anything else to say about Duke. But imagine back-to-back losses. You go to this tournament. The money, I think, helps this. It kind of helps with that sour taste in your mouth. But to lose by 20 and then to lose by 30, I think, again, high-caliber teams. I think in a different playing field and ballpark is Duke, but something to learn from, something to grow on, and something to definitely bounce back for Duke.
I think it shows that UCLA maybe had a little bit of a blip against Texas, right? They lost by 11 the day before, and they bounced back and looked more like themselves the next day. So some lessons learned, I think, for UCLA. But again, I do still think UCLA is a top 5 team, right?
For
Just
sure.
because they lost to Texas, I don't think really means a ton, because Texas is so good. But again, Duke really is kind of proving themselves the other way a little bit there.
Couldn't agree more. All right, let's jump to the Texas-South Carolina game. So this was for all the marbles. This was for the winning of the Players Era Championship. So number 4, Texas, ends up defeating number 2, South Carolina, 66-64. Sid, I'm going to pass it over to you. You got a lot of great notes here. I want to give you the floor to have you roll with it first.
Okay. And then I'll try to stop, because I'll probably just keep going. I just thought this game was so good.
It was really
awesome.
good.
Both teams are just so good, and they've got offensive weapons that are fun to watch. And obviously Don Staley on the sideline is fun to watch. I mean, just great basketball played Thursday.
And the only thing I want to add before you get rolling, Texas beating UCLA and South Carolina gives South Carolina and UCLA their only loss on the season. All these teams came in undefeated. And for Texas to kind of, beat the number 3 and then beat the number 2, I just think they had themselves a weekend. So go ahead, Sid.
Yeah, and back-to-back days for scouting both those teams. Like you mentioned, no day off. Insane. Yeah, it really does prove their body of work the past couple days, the past week here. All right, so let's talk about the game. It's a potential Final Four, if not national championship matchup that happened. Plus, it's an in-conference game, right? Now that Texas is in the SEC, I love this because they're going to play, no matter what, they're going to play each other again. Probably play each other again in the SEC tournament championship, unless LSU has something to say or my Lady Vols finally turn it on. We'll see. But they are going to play each other again, and I love that. So that's great. But if we break it down, and to me, and talking about South Carolina first, I absolutely love watching Tessa Johnson play. Do I think she needed a better second half in this game to win the game? I do. But she's very good off the dribble. Like, I think she's gotten better there from last year. She's poised offensively. You can tell she's a veteran now. I mentioned it. She had a better first half than second half. But, like, I love how she's stepping up into her role a little bit there. And I thought that showed through a little bit against Texas, who is a very good defensive team and has very good defensive guards. I think the big thing here is South, and we talk about this a lot, and you can think about Dawn Staley and her post play and what she's done the past 10 years with the post players she's had. They are all about getting the ball inside a lot, right? Joyce Edwards is that post player for them. She is very good. She's not like a big body post player, like her off the dribble, even from a short corner perspective. She's just super athletic. I think that they need more people that are going to step up. And we have to remember, Chloe Kitts is out. Ashlyn Watkins is out. So they're missing 2 key players for South Carolina.
2 inside players.
Yeah, inside players, right, at that. So Joyce Edwards has the reins this year to absolutely own it down low, and Dawn Staley is going to use her post play. I thought that Latson was the X factor here, and in my opinion, should have allowed South Carolina to win if you can get Latson more involved. She ends up with 16 points. She goes 4 for 12 off shooting night. But to me, Dawn and their staff are not using Latson like they should. And we watched Latson all last year when she played for Florida State. She's the best scorer in the country last year, right? She averaged almost 27 points a game. Get her the ball. And down the stretch at the end, she hits those 2 key free throws to keep South Carolina in it in the last 15 seconds. But I just think that's a huge thing that they need to lean on this year, especially because it is such a long season. Tessa Johnson, Joyce Edwards can't do it alone. You got Raven Johnson out there also. Latson needs to be that girl that's consistently scoring 20 points. And I think that's going to make a huge difference for South Carolina. Not against the cupcakes, right? They're going to play some teams that they're going to have no issues with beating this year. I'm talking against the good teams like the Texases. So that was a big thing for me. How are you not running isolation plays for her, screen after screen for her, to just let her go to work on some of those possessions? It was telling that they were trying to get the ball into Joyce. Joyce got in a little bit of foul trouble. That hurt them. But that was something I thought was big for South Carolina that was kind of missing.
Yeah, completely agree. I also think, you're trying to replace Kitts and Watkins inside, and Joyce Edwards is for sure that replacement. She played really well with Chloe Kitts, but I wanted to highlight that 6'6" transfer from Mississippi State, Medina Alcott. I think her getting in the flow and getting comfortable with this style of play will be super important for them come March, which I think is crazy. We're only in November and we're talking like this, but imagine, Dawn Staley's putting her in there to make her the player she needs her to be come March. So hell or high water, whether she's successful or not, you're going to see her in the game. And I think she's only grown. And I know it's only been a handful of games. I'm aware of how crazy this sounds, but I think she's gotten drastically better. I mean, to come in off the bench and to put up, she's playing 34 minutes, 12 points, 11 boards. That's a double-double that South Carolina has to consistently have, especially if the focus defensively is more on that Joyce Edwards inside. You can't stop both. You can't. So to have that consistent presence, and again, we never really highlighted her on a transfer portal, but this was a huge grab for Dawn Staley, especially having her come from Mississippi State, and she's a senior. So I think she's only going to develop and get better, especially with experience and understanding that South Carolina does and how they really shape their post players.
I agree. That girl's good. She's naturally athletic, but to your point, she just needs more of the experience on the big stage. And this was a big stage.
For sure.
And think about
you're making a couple 100,000. It's a big stage, girl.
Big stage. If you're a high school post player right now and you're top tier high school post player, how are you not looking at South Carolina? I mean, don't you want to be the next Aaliyah Boston, Asia Wilson, Carmela Cardoza? I mean, what South Carolina does? Yeah. With their post play, I mean, they're going to use you hands down.
Isn't it crazy? Let's just a little ad lib here. Isn't it crazy how some colleges don't really have that post player presence or mindset?
I hate it.
I know.
I don't like it.
I don't understand it. But again, so many teams have different styles of post players that they go out and recruit as well. Where Dawn, LSU to some degree, I feel, definitely Texas and UCLA, they like that inside dominant presence, which can help your offense and your guards on the outside get open, right? So
absolutely,
it's just interesting to see different styles of coaching, what they look for, and what type of player and post player they want. And I'm obviously reflecting back on my time at Notre Dame, where again they didn't really recruit those big bodies, and Ruth Riley was probably one of the last dominant inside. That was she was inside, right? She was a post player. Even for me, I was recruited as a guard, went in the post, then came back out. So it's just, they like the versatility there. But Jessica Shepard was also a pretty good one, for sure. An amazing one, won a national championship. But again, it's just interesting. I'm sitting here and I'm seeing that more and more in their style of play that we talked about a couple episodes ago. And it's just so telling when you have that like anchor post play as part of your game.
Oh yeah.
And UConn is another example of having that.
All top 5 teams right now have
Mm-hmm.
post players who absolutely go to work and are a part of close to every offensive possession.
Yep.
I struggle watching Tennessee a little bit, right? Because like, could
Yes.
you name a Tennessee post player
No.
right now? Okay.
I was honestly thinking that because I was thinking of mine and then I was thinking about yours too because I was like, Candace Parker was a post player, but she was so much more. She was kind of like a Sarah Strong, right? She's pulling threes. Candace used to bring the ball up. She was legit as all heck. But I agree with you because I remember like the last game I watched of Tennessee, I was like, man, they just go in there and like offensive rebound and crash the glass hard, but there's no like consistent post player. But again, we're in the same boat here. We're just rowing different paddles.
We're on that. We had Muffet and Pat old schoolness where we worked the ball inside out quite a bit. And some of the newer systems, they're just a little bit different, but the top 5 to 10 teams are doing that. Like, game hasn't changed that much, if you ask me.
For sure.
Anywho, but totally in agreement. If we jump to Texas, oh man, Rory Harmon, I mentioned it. She's so fast. Her first step is just, I love it. I love watching her play. And then if you think about her and Booker together, like this duo is so good this year. Rory Harmon with 0.7 seconds to go hit the game winner in this one. You know me, I'm going to rewind it and watch it a few times.
Love it.
She's coming down. They get set up in their horns action. So for the listeners who don't know what horns is, there's 2 post player screeners in like the shoot area. So in between the top of the key and the wing, they have two screeners there. So the guard can use either side. And then they put the 2 guards that are remaining on the baselines. That's a horns offense. So she's coming down, Rory Harmon. She has those 2 screens that she can use that are pretty spread out. She goes on the left, doesn't even use the left screen. She just straight up takes Tessa Johnson to the rack, man. Like, I love it. And time was expiring. Like, you can hear the commentators like, they need to get in this. And so she just took it up and like elevates, shoots a beautiful pull-up jumper, knocks it down with 0.7 seconds to go up by 2. The game was tied at that point. Phenomenal ending. And it just speaks to how good Rory Harmon is. She is one of those next level guards, without a doubt.
I love how the announcers were like, they need to get in it. But for Rory Harmon, who's so fast, it was like, I got time. And she left time on the clock. Like, that's what's so funny is like, it was a beautiful shot, something definitely off balance, but you could tell her form was locked in. It was just like a float right after, like her body and her form stayed locked in. It was beautiful. I do want to highlight the fact that Texas had 3 players injured that would normally be in the rotation of playing in this tournament, and they didn't have them. They also had 3 players who played 40 minutes the entire game the second day, which was Booker, Lee, and Harmon. So not only are you short-staffed on the bench, which sometimes teams don't go to their bench, but Texas has the ability to, but the second day of a back-to-back tournament of big-time top 4 opponents, they are playing the entire game.
Yeah, craziness. That's a lot of minutes, like in back-to-back days. Whew.
I'm just really glad everybody's health, like nobody got injured. You know what I mean? I know I'm not trying to put that out there, but Vic Schaefer did say after was getting interviewed, he's like, the girls probably want some time off, which they earned, but and that's kind of what it is. Not only did they earn time off, they earned some money. I want to highlight Justice Carlton. I think this girl, she's only a sophomore. She's only 6'1". This is that glue player that you have to have in order to be successful. She comes in, she's nitty gritty. She's got a busted lip. She's like flying on the floor. She's going after every rebound. This girl finished off the bench with 13 points and 8 boards. And she played 32 minutes. So when we talk about those starters, those big time players playing 40 minutes, she only just didn't play 8 minutes of a game because she was that instrumental, pivotal. And I honestly think, I haven't heard, she's played a lot. I think she earned way more playing time just from this game alone, going against these top 10 teams, top 5. I think she's definitely going to be one of the immediate picks off the bench, if not a starter.
She more than earned her own out there. She was good for sure. She was in the mix. And speaking of Texas, like we have to mention Booker, aka Kevin Durant. I mean, she really plays like Kevin Durant, and that's like her. Kevin Durant is her role model, like, and she's just modeled her game after him, and she's built like him a little bit, like lengthier, taller, uses the baseline. She struggled a bit offensively at times, but got hot in the fourth quarter when it mattered. Like when her team needed buckets, she came down back-to-back possessions. Maybe there might have been one possession in between, but back-to-back times came down, knocked down jumpers, got to the rack. She ended up with 16 points and 9 rebounds. That girl's good. She's a matchup problem for anyone that has to guard her. When you do scouting against Texas, to have to scout against Rory Harmon and Booker, that's tough right there. And then you've got the big body, right? Old Acre.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, arguably needs to show up a little bit more, but just her presence alone, because she is that big body down there, it matters. Like she's still pushing people out of the way. She's still getting some block shots. And I just think it well rounds their offense because they have two really good guards, and Booker's more kind of like a forward almost. And then that big body presence. Like if you look at having that front, I think is really good for Texas. And I absolutely love the variety of offense that Vic Schaefer runs. Like I was thinking about this, Becca, we coach an AAU team, and honestly, that South Carolina, Texas game, the one we're highlighting here, we could pause offensive possessions and rewind and slow down and write down the plays that he's running and have like a great suite of plays.
Yeah.
We probably would add 3 or 4 good solid plays to what our team runs. I mean, it's crazy good screening action. They run some 2-man isolation, which makes sense with the personnel they have. They're very disciplined in their player movement, yet they can create out of it. They get multiple good looks in their offenses, and you can tell he mixes it up. It's, I think, tough to defend, and he's got the personnel, like I said, to do it. So, like, that's a really good offensive-minded coach. And granted, they play really good defense also, but, like, watching their offenses, I think you can learn a lot about the game.
Without a doubt, couldn't agree more. Funny part is I actually scribbled some down, so I know exactly what you're talking about because we're the same person to a degree. And so I saw this, I was like, man, these are just nonstop. He's just got like a bag of tricks that he's just pulling stuff out. And the crazy part is he went to that horns action because it was a play that they said they were successful on throughout the game. So he wanted to run it, but it kind of had a breakdown. So he just went for it. And obviously, Rory Harmon, I'm going to give her props. And this is a girl who plays 40 minutes. She scores 6 points, 2 of them being the game winner, and 9 assists. I'm just going to tell you, I know without a doubt, because Vic Schaefer said it after, they would not have been as successful if she wasn't on the court handling the ball, getting them in the offense. And I just think for girls who just, their mindset is, I didn't score 20, I didn't get this. Her and that Carlton girl, you can learn a lot from those 2 players and just their roles and what they do and how successful they make their teams. And I think that's the important piece that girls who are in high school and want to play college ball don't understand is when you get to college, you might not be that number 1 pick for the year, and you're going to have to fit in. How do you get on the court? How do you make a difference? And I just think those 2 girls, they turn it on when they need to, they play their role when they need to, and they make sure their team is successful. And I just, huge props. Texas looked awesome. And it's only November.
I know. I love it. And I thought Candace Parker, she called the games last week in Vegas, and I thought she said it best when she said Rory Harmon will be in the rafters one day for Texas and what she's done for this program. And that's not even Booker. And I mentioned it. Booker was the SEC Player of the Year last year. I mean, it just shows you how good both of these guards are. And I thought Candace said that really well. Shout out Can, who did an awesome job calling the games.
Yeah, very cool.
Let's jump into the second half. First half was awesome, might I add. I really enjoyed all of our ad lib, went on a few tangents, but it was great first half. Second half, we're going to talk about this week's upcoming matchups. Wednesday, December 3rd, number 25. At the time when we recorded this, some of these might change. Number 25, NC State is playing number 9, Oklahoma, 7 p.m. Eastern. Number 14, Tennessee is playing Stanford at 9:15 Eastern. Some good matchups there on Wednesday. I had to throw the Tennessee-Stanford game in there. Stanford is not ranked, but it's just one of those good blue blood basketball matchups that it's still, I think, worth highlighting and worth watching this week. So those are the 2 matchups on Wednesday.
I do want to add, I think NC State has had a really rough beginning to the season here. They've obviously played some high caliber teams. They did suffer a loss last week against the University of Rhode Island by 5. So again, this is kind of what we saw from them last year. They played some intense games right off the bat and then kind of suffered some losses, had some injuries catch up to them. You just hope they're staying healthy so that they can keep rolling. They're 3-3 right now. So still, 500 for the year. It's still early. I just want them to bounce back and get back to how they were at the beginning when they kicked this off.
And what is this? The third top 10 matchup they've played? Maybe
Yeah,
fourth?
I think third or fourth. Honestly, I feel like it's fourth, which is crazy.
That is crazy. Yeah.
They're
not
over there
afraid
with
to play
Texas.
somebody. Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. And Thursday, December 4th, number 2 at the time, which I'm guessing they're going to drop back a little bit after that Texas loss. Number 2, South Carolina is playing number 23, Louisville. Another good blue blood basketball game there. Usually Louisville is pretty darn good in women's basketball. They've fallen off a little bit, but that's still a good matchup. That's at 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Number 4, Texas, which I'm thinking they're going to jump up in the polls there, versus number 12, North Carolina, also at 7 p.m. That's on ESPN2. Number 5, LSU versus Duke. That's at 9 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. And then wanted to throw in the number 13, Ole Miss versus number 19, Notre Dame. They play at 9 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2. Before we jump into these, because I think there's some good matchups here to really jump in on, all 4 of these games are on ESPN or ESPN2. Women's basketball is owning Thursday night. I love this so much.
Yeah.
Like, it's a doubleheader on ESPN and ESPN2, all women's basketball.
That sounds amazing. I think I'm not going to say like about time, but like now our product is so good. I don't know how you can't have it on there. And I think it's great for our game to continue to grow and just have more opportunities without a doubt. This is awesome.
It's fantastic. Okay, of these 4 games, and there's a handful to highlight here. I think for me, I'm really looking forward to that Texas versus North Carolina game. We watched North Carolina play earlier this year. They're very disciplined on offense. They got a couple offensive weapons now. It'll be interesting to see how Texas bounces back after how well they played in this Vegas tournament. Now they got to go play North Carolina, who's a good team, right? They're ranked 12th. I think Texas is going to win this one, but it might be a closer of a battle than we think.
I agree with you. I just think Texas, they've learned so much and they've grown that their amount of weapons, I think it's going to be easier than we think. I'm calling obviously Texas by +10, maybe even 15.
Okay, they run away at the end.
Risky.
Yeah, I like it. I think they're going to win. I mean, they just have way more offensive power, but I think North Carolina is going to try to slow it down the best they can. They need to if they're going to try to win that game.
Yeah. But Rory Harmon's at the point, so best of luck.
Yeah, good luck. She's so explosively fast. I also am interested to see how LSU plays against Duke. I realize Duke, as we've mentioned, has really fallen off and maybe not as good or strong as a team as we thought heading into this year. But now LSU is finally playing somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be interesting.
I think it's crazy that Duke, within the matter of 2 weeks, is going to play. They have played the number 4 at the time, Texas, and the number 2 at the time, South Carolina. And now they're going to round it out with a number 5 LSU. I honestly think also these rankings, they're most likely to switch. But I think we've talked about LSU being 5 and kind of the why behind that. If LSU doesn't beat Duke by 20 or 15 to 20 plus, I think that's very telling because everyone else has handled Duke pretty well. And unless Kara Lawson has a magic flip that she's going to switch where all of a sudden there's 4 people who can just come in and knock down consistent buckets, then they have a chance. But again, I think LSU should beat them pretty swimmingly.
I do too. And to your point, if they don't, that'll be telling.
Yeah.
And the other one here that's worth jumping in is Notre Dame versus Ole Miss. We talk about Ole Miss all the time, how much we love Coach Yo. We love what she's doing, what she's done for that program. I think this is a really good matchup. And it'll be interesting to watch Cotie McMahon at Ole Miss, who transferred from Ohio State. She was a huge key player for Ohio State, had a great career at Ohio State, and then transfers to Ole Miss. That's going to be interesting for Notre Dame.
Yeah. I think it's going to be for sure a good one. I'm hoping we have some sort of defensive focus, whether we're in a zone where we're doubling down, because we don't really have a post player that can match up with her versatility at the moment. And also, Ole Miss is coming into this game undefeated. The only test that they've really had is against Memphis, where they won in overtime, 73-64. But again, Ole Miss went to the transfer portal and got some big pieces. So obviously, I haven't been able to see them play live, but I'm just hoping Notre Dame brings that consistent team defense where everybody's playing their role and contributing and putting up some numbers, because it can't just be Hannah versus Cotie McMahon, because we know Notre Dame has Hannah, right? And that's their star, that's their guiding light, that's who it is. But I feel like Ole Miss has some other players on that team that could kind of really be trouble for us.
It'll be, I think, a great matchup to watch. It's at Ole Miss, which to me, if it was at Notre Dame,
yeah,
I might go with Notre Dame on that one.
I know,
but being at Ole
nervous.
Miss, it makes it tougher, I think.
Did you just see my reaction for the individuals that can't see it? I literally slapped my forehead like, oh man, it's going to be rough. Rough road game. We're going to have to get after it. Go Irish. Let's go, baby.
Go Irish. They can do it. And then Sunday, a couple games to highlight. December 7th, number 19, Notre Dame is going to play Florida State. So we're starting some ACC play there, which is exciting. That's at 2 p.m. Eastern. And then number 18, USC is going to be playing number 22, Washington, also on Sunday. I have to pause here because when I was writing these notes, I'm looking at it and I'm like, is this right? Notre Dame 19, USC ranked 18th. Like how is Notre Dame ranked 19th and USC is ranked 18th when Notre Dame just beat USC? Like, doesn't that head-to-head matchup matter in rankings?
I have no idea how this math worked out, but I agree with you. I also think, USC is only lost to Notre Dame and South Carolina. Kind of also had some interesting games to start out the year. It's still super early. We've said that, but I agree with you. This is not making sense to me. But
yeah, it doesn't sit well with me.
there's some math behind it that we don't know. The algorithm is just not. We don't have all that. We don't have all the insights.
I think that's right. Yeah. So interesting to note. And that was in the AP poll and ESPN rankings. So weird.
Very weird. I want to add some fun facts, and I want to ask, I'm going to just a point to mention, and then I want to ask you a question, Sid. Fun fact, Audi Crooks, one of my faves from Iowa State. The girl is averaging more points than minutes at this point in the season.
What?
How crazy
That's
is that? She is averaging almost over a point a minute. So she comes in, average per game is 24.7 minutes. Her points is 25.9. I'd be scared to see if she played more. Like, I think that'd be pretty crazy.
She'd be dropping 40.
Agree.
She played the whole game. That's wow. Yeah. Kudos to her. I mean, she is so good. She can score, that girl.
All right. And my last point that I wanted to ask you, Sid. I saw this and I go, I'm going to ask Sid. True or false? Did number 4 Texas just make its case to be number 1 after taking down 2 of the top 3 teams in back-to-back days? Should they unseat UConn at the number 1, just based on the competition they played, the length of time between, and the fact that they beat them both with a short bench?
It's a really interesting thought. And the rankings are going to drop the day that they'll readjust the rankings the day this episode's going to drop. So I don't know what that's going to look like. I don't think they do it. I think UConn will stay 1 and Texas will go to 2. And I also agree. I don't know if I like that because they just knocked off 2 really good teams. And UConn, because they won the national championship last year, because they have looked really good, they beat a tough Michigan team. They do have a good win in that Michigan win. I think they keep them at 1. And I hate saying this, and I said it earlier. I'm like, I don't know if UConn loses a game. And maybe we saw there was some cracks in the ice against Michigan. It's possible, definitely, to beat them. But I don't know if they're going to lose in the regular season. And part of it is their conference, right? Like, they play in a weaker conference. That's just the reality. They're not in the SEC or the Big Ten, and those to me are like the 2 top conferences in women's basketball by far. And so they have to schedule some of these tougher conference games, which Gino does. But UConn is so good though too. Like if you put them head to head next to each other, that is a tough one because UConn's got AZ Fudd, who's just phenomenal. Sarah Strong, who I think is the best player in the country. And then you've got Texas, which all the players we already mentioned and ran through this whole episode.
Yeah.
Like that's the matchup. The Final Four this year is going to be
crazy.
Whoever's in the Final Four, like that means you've got a well-rounded team. You're using your post play. You can defend. Like it's going to be such good basketball this year. Okay. What do you think? You think they should be number one?
You know what's crazy is I was hoping you wouldn't ask me, and I was going to say, I'm so glad I asked you this. I honestly think their amount of work that they just did within a matter of 2 days, I think they should be number one based on strength of schedule, the fact they were able to pull it out. And I get UConn. I understand why but I just think it's not dethroning them because they lost. It's just at this point, like you look at football, strength of schedule, who they beat opponent wise matchup. Like I don't. And then it's crazy because when you talk about like AZ Fudd, I'm thinking Madison Booker.
Yeah.
You think about like, Sarah Strong, I'm thinking and Sarah Strong, and then they have the Sierra Williams for UConn. I'm thinking of Old Acre and Carlton. And I'm just like, I'm already seeing this wild matchup that will eventually, I hope, happens because that's going to be insane. That game will be insane. But I honestly think Texas did enough to be a number one.
I agree with that. I just don't know if they do it. Like it's like the 18-19 here. I'm like, what? With Notre Dame USC, like rankings kind of, and they don't mean anything really.
Yeah.
But like they kind of drive you nuts. Like it sometimes doesn't make sense.
I agree. I completely agree.
If Texas dethrones them, it will have been earned flat out.
Agree.
I hope that is at least a Final Four matchup, if not the national championship. Like South Carolina, Texas, UConn, like somewhere in there, maybe throw an LSU in because they've got some star-studded players. Like it's going to be a fun Final Four.
At this point in time, UConn and Texas need to be on the opposite sides of the bracket without a doubt.
They do.
Make it happen. Write a note. Put it down now. Do not put them in the same area or to link up in the Final Four. Like
I agree.
That would be a disservice to women's basketball at this point. And I'm calling it totally in November. Agree. November.
We're going to have to like fast forward and you and I are going to get the brackets to be like, did they do it? Okay.
I know, right? I know.
Yay or nay?
Sid, did we work off enough of the turkey and sweet potatoes with this episode?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I've been standing the whole time, so that's helping me.
I'm just getting worked up and sweating. So that's how we talk about sports over here. But I think this was a crazy good episode. I think it was a amazing week of amazing basketball. I think we're very spoiled. We're getting this early. I'm also extremely thankful we're getting it this early. Talk about November and it being amazing games all Thanksgiving week long. I think it's awesome for our game and what a treat. A Thanksgiving treat.
That's right. Yeah, it felt like a Final Four watching this. So I mean every year that's for sure to me tune into the Players Era Championship and that's where the top of the top are going to be playing in women's basketball in November and that's speaks volumes for our game. Like, I think it's great.
We hope everyone had a happy Thanksgiving with their families. We're back to basketball as usual. Episode 5 here is dropping, and we're gonna look forward to all these matchups this week, and then get after it in episode 6. We just appreciate everyone listening, and we hope everyone had a good holiday.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. Follow us on our social media. Becca does a great job with all the social media, all the credit to Becca. So please follow us and stay tuned each week. Appreciate you listening.
Good episode. See you, Sid.
See you, Beck.
That's the 28.5 final buzzer for today's episode. Don't forget to hit follow and download on your preferred podcast platform to catch every play-by-play. New episodes drop each week throughout the season.
If you've enjoyed our courtside chat, drop us a review or follow us on our social media accounts where you can send us questions that may be selected for our Team Huddle Q&A episodes. And remember, from females who have played the game, the size of the ball matters.